Hello, everyone, and welcome to the best and worst of Walt Disney World, brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, as well as Didsboards.com. I am your host, Rhino Clavin, and in this week's episode, we're going to be going over Craig Williams' top 5 best attractions at Walt Disney World. To join me for this discussion, we've got Mr. Steve Porter.
Hello.
And imagine if that were it, and we were just talking about it without Craig Williams.
Craig.
Yeah.
We just had a list in front of us.
We were just
I sent you my list, and I checked it twice, and now you guys are going to decide if I'm right or wrong.
I thought you were going to say
naughty or
nice.
But that's TM trademark.
No, we can't legally use that, but I am excited to share my list of the top 5 best in this episode. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of surprises if you know me and you've heard me talk before. The only thing I would say that was difficult about this list was trying to figure out what to leave off, because everything is my favorite. And I'm not saying that in a stupid way like that, but this was a really, really big tough one, because even though it's not quite open yet as of when this has been released and recorded, oh man, is Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, is that in my top 5? Did it climb up that high? Well, the answer is no.
Okay. Well, spoiler alert.
Yeah, no, the answer is no. I think I even said
the podcast
on
off. He doesn't have smugglers running it.
Well, we recently recorded an episode of the Walt Disney World Edition podcast where I believe I said that I think even Slinky Dog is a better attraction to ride than Smuggler's Run. So if anything, by logic, Slinky Dog Dash would be on there. But then everyone knows that I think I actually like Alien Swirling Saucers more than Slinky Dog Dash. And what about Frozen Ever After?
Where
do you put that in the list?
Probably just start and tell us your number 5, because you are literally naming every attraction.
Yeah, well, this was my way of giving all the ones that I wish I just could have put on the list.
Oh, okay,
but
those are your honorable mentions.
Yes,
I gotcha.
Yes, in a way, all of those I wanted to put on this list, but I couldn't, and because of time purposes and because we're keeping it at 5. But I think I did come up with a not well-rounded list, but my list.
I feel like we should have done one of those things where we could have put out bets to be put on what everyone's lists are, because I know 2 that I would put money on that I think are in this list for you.
Well,
3. No, I know 3.
Okay, what do we think is my number 5?
I don't think I know your number 5. I think I can tell you their top 3.
It's just the 3 of us in this room, so let's just play it. What do you think is my number 5?
Your number 5 favorite attraction?
Yeah.
Thunder Mountain.
Steve?
I'm going to go, I know it's far down your list.
Fart.
Far. I know it's far down your list and not your number 1, so I'm going to say Flight of Passage.
Okay, well,
I didn't even think of that. Okay.
You both are wrong. My number 5, I would have to give it up to Splash Mountain. Which,
I was in the right park.
Yeah, I believe this was also on Steve's list, so we've explained it before, but in case you didn't, I will. Well, it's not about what the attraction is like. It's about what I feel like with this attraction. And to me, the first trip that I came on in Walt Disney World in 1992, Splash Mountain had just been recently opened at that point. So we all have that ride that we had to kind of overcome in a way when you go on a vacation to a theme park. And I know I did Space Mountain on that first trip, but the one that sticks out in my mind has always been Splash Mountain. That was that ride that I overcame, and it's always been a favorite ever since.
I didn't do that ride till I was 23 years old,
and
I had gone to Disney World. I had been to Disney World probably at least 16 times before that,
and I feel terrible for you because of that.
I was too afraid,
and that's the thing. It's when you do look at it, it's intimidating because of that final drop. But it's really
I thought that's all it was too.
Honestly,
just the drop.
In the final drop, it's fun, it's thrilling, but for me, I think the drop that kind of messes with you the most is kind of the double drop that's inside, taking you down to the laughing place where you go down and back up and then down. It plays with your stomach a little bit, but it's awesome. And there's not enough that can be said about this attraction. The music alone is just iconic. Pulling that Song of the South music that not a lot of people might be familiar with beyond Zippity Doo Dah. But then bring it into this attraction, and they kind of It's a Small World. They kind of just get stuck in your ear, and you find yourself humming them all day long. And then the amazing amount of animatronics that they've put in this attraction, that even when they're not working, they're still always they still always make me happy throughout. And in the length of the attraction too, you get your
bang for your buck.
Thank you, Steve. Yes, you get your bang for your buck with it, and just so many good memories on this ride. it. I mean, we used to go back in the day when they had e-ticket nights. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's before they had extra magic hours and stuff at Magic Kingdom. They would keep all the e-ticket attractions open plus some extra ones, and it was only like $15 per person.
Oh, wow.
To do it. And it would literally be a thing where like you go on those nights and you could just sit on the log the entire night. Probably like pretty much like it is if you have a really late extra magic hour night at Magic Kingdom and it gets kind of cool outside, no one wants to ride it, they'll just let you sit on and keep riding. But there's just because of that, so many good memories. Splash Mountain, it could be up higher on my list, but I feel like I'm happy with where it is right now.
Okay.
Right now, personally.
That's a good pick.
Let me ask you this: you got any on this list that aren't at Magic Kingdom?
Yes, I do. So
I think it's the next one.
I have.
I think his number one is not.
No, I'm positive his number one is.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I think Rhino already knows my number one. You are thinking, Steve, of what I consider to be the best attraction at Walt Disney World. But remember, it's my favorite attraction, not what I think is the ultimate best attraction.
Oh, okay.
So keep that in mind with
Well, we didn't have Slinky Dog or Alien Swirling Saucer, so it's not in there. But that doesn't mean it's not at Hollywood Studios.
Okay. Well,
that's
His number 4 is, I'm guessing.
well, what is my number 4?
I think it's Tower of Terror.
Tower. Yeah.
No, it's not.
Oh.
My number 4 you
Frozen.
can find. No, it's not. My number 4 you can find at Animal Kingdom.
Oh, is it Kilimanjaro Safari? Not Safari.
No.
I'm
Flight
sorry.
of Passage.
Everest.
No.
I meant Everest. I
Yes.
said Kilimanjaro. I always do that. I say the two things backwards.
My number 4 is Expedition Everest, which I believe is the best roller coaster you can find at Walt Disney World. It's not the best in Orlando anymore. I actually would have said that before. And when I say the best in Orlando, I kind of leave out like the SeaWorld roller coasters because those are just, it's hard to kind of place like Expedition Everest next to like Mako and
When you're a Disney fan, a SeaWorld roller coaster is a SeaWorld roller coaster.
that was stupid. But anyways, it's in my kind of between before Hagrid's, between Expedition Everest or between Walt Disney World and Universal. This I thought was actually the best roller coaster you could find in Orlando. It has everything to me. It has a highly immersive queue that as you walk through there, like you get this sense that you are in the Himalayas, you're in Asia, and you're about to take this journey up into the Himalayan mountains, and it has like if you've ever watched like any documentaries on climbing Everest or seen the movie Everest, then you kind of get that sense, and this queue nails every aspect of it, and it sets up the story as you're going along. And then once you actually get on the attraction, it kind of starts off easygoing, but then you get that hill climb and immediately kind of go and you get backtracked and you have your backward section. It just starts delivering all the thrills right away, but never in a way that I feel like is too scary for anyone. Maybe when you're going up the lift hill and you have that one brief section where you can look down on both sides. Maybe if you're afraid of heights, I can see that one being a little bit scary. But beyond that, it's level with that mountain, or it appears to be because it's dark on the inside. So I just feel like it's a nice. It brings thrills for thrill seekers, but then it's not overly terrifying, and that's where like I'm a thrill seeker, so I can go balls to the wall all the time. But I like being able to go on something like Everest with friends, where I could say, "Listen, it's not as bad as you're making it out in your head to be."
I have a question.
Yeah.
If the Yeti was still working, would it be higher on your list?
No, I only saw the Yeti once when he was working, and I know that was for a very short time, and maybe my memory's even deceiving me on that, but the Yeti's the Yeti. It doesn't make or break. When it's a roller coaster, I want it to be a nice, fun roller coaster, and I feel like it is. And, if you can add more to it, yeah, it's more entertaining, but the fact is you could strip away everything, and it'd still be a fun coaster. So that's where I stand on that. So number 3, take your bets. Take your bets.
Okay, I know.
Have we mentioned it already?
Maybe. I can't give that away.
I think it's the Jungle Cruise.
I'm going to go back and say double down on Tower of Terror.
And Steve would have won this round.
Okay. Oh, then I do not know your top 3.
Okay, well, fantastic. So, number 3, Tower of Terror. Again, I believe this was also on Steve's list. So, I've said it many times before. I think this is the best themed attraction at Walt Disney World overall. It like, there's not many attractions, I feel like, that amp up the anticipation from the attraction before you even get like right on the street that it's in. Like when you come from outside the park, you already see Tower of Terror. Mm-hmm. When you then finally make that right hand turn or left, depending on which way you're coming from, and start heading down Sunset Boulevard, it just starts looming over you and continues to get bigger and bigger as you get closer. And then finally you start to get in range of the screams from when the doors open up and people are dropping. And that's just on the lead up to the ride. And then it's got a brilliant cue that just feels like it really is this dilapidated hotel that hasn't been taken care of since the 30s. And blend that with my love for the Twilight Zone, it all comes together in this one succinct attraction. And even though I haven't always been the biggest fan of attractions that drop you and lift you up and down and up and down, to me it's done so well, and since it does serve the story in a way, I feel like I've always been okay with it because of that. Whereas, like, I don't like the drop rides at like amusement parks where you just go up and sit there and dangle for a couple seconds and then finally come back down. I'm not okay on those. Those things are terrifying.
Don't lose your feet on those.
Yeah. Yeah. But, overall, it's just, I feel like Tower of Terror, when you're talking about theming and you're talking about a themed attraction, there are very few and far between that are done as perfectly as it. And
plus the Twilight Zone's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's exactly. I feel like, I do love Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, and it is a big part of that is the theming for me. But I would never want them to turn our Tower of Terror into that because it just fits so much. It's
that
perfectly
whole area
fit
too.
where it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay.
Is this Kylie's list?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So, what's my number 2?
Well, I think it's Country Bear Jamboree.
Steve?
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that. I'm gonna save that for number 1. Thunder Mountain?
No, both wrong. My number 2 attraction. This is where I completely veer away from the thrill rides. My number 2 attraction is Enchanted Tiki Room.
Oh my God, I thought that was your number 1. That's why I'm like, I was 100% positive I was your number 1. Well, then I just said his number 1.
Oh, well, we'll
out.
see. So, Enchanted Tiki Room. I don't think I have to say it too much, but I'm a huge fan of tiki culture. I love everything about it, and I feel like there's only so many places that we have in Orlando where I can get that vibe from it. And basically it's like I have Trader Sam's, which then I'm gonna dump a bunch of money and gain a bunch of calories. Mm-hmm. I have also my new favorite tiki bar up in Sanford, Florida,
you can't say it on the show.
I'm not going to say on the show, but if you can find them, go support them.
Suffering B word. Yeah. Well, no.
I meant to say it because it holds so little people in there that I want to be. I don't want people to go
also,
in.
It's not a female dog, so don't think that B word.
Yeah, okay. And then you have, really, for me then, Enchanted Tiki Room. And that's the one that I don't have to gain weight on, and I just get a nice, relaxing show with birds. But in all seriousness with it, I love the music. Every single song in this attraction, I actually wish it would revert back to the full-length show.
I thought you were going to say under new management, and I was going to say I don't know you at all.
I did not care for under new management. It was not my favorite at all. But I love the full length show where they after the first song they go into the Offenbach part where it's just all instrumental and birds whistling. Like if you listen to like the full soundtrack of it, you can hear it. But
I remember it.
And I understand why a lot of people would get bored. It's probably when they would start walking out of the show. But for me, it's so perfect. The music is spot on. I love the fact that you hear the clickety clack of all the animatronics. The only thing holding it probably from number 1 on this list for Walt Disney World is I love about Disneyland that it's so close together, and it has the fountain still that comes up. To me, like, it has this warmth and this homeliness to it that ours doesn't. Ours is much bigger. It's much more wide open, and so it's hard to feel like like you're really into the show as much, but it's still the entire idea behind the show is what I love so much. So it has to be on one of my favorites. So, and what's that leave for number one?
We should have thought of that.
Well, I now I don't know. I'm assuming it was
it's
Country
Country
Bear
Bear.
is number one then.
yeah.
Okay. I had them mixed up. So
Yeah. So, Country Bear Jamboree.
I'm surprised. First of all, I'm going to say though, I'm surprised Jungle Cruise is in this list for you because I know you like the Jungle Cruise.
I
a
do.
lot.
This would have been a Jungle Cruise. It is another one that would have been very close to getting on. But it's just, if I had a list of top 15, a lot would have made it on there. But Country Bear Jamboree is, to me, it is now Walt Disney World. It's like, I really rediscovered my love for it. I want to say probably like 3 or 4 years ago. Because like I always appreciated it, but it wasn't something that like stuck with me. A lot of it was back to like the days of coming as a kid, like, oh, mom's making us go watch
I
Country
think you
Bear
go through
Jamboree.
phases with it. You have
Yeah.
the child phase, and then you have your like,
Yeah.
what is this? And then you have your
Well,
adult when you're like, I get it.
Yeah, well, and it's like it does kind of fit like how you see yourself with your parents too, where it's like when you grow up, like, why is my mom making me do this
Yeah.
and that? And then once you get to be the age that your parents were when you were growing up, then it's like, now I understand. I don't even have kids yet, but I already understand why. And
got me.
Country Bear Jamboree is one of those ones for me. It's like my mom loved seeing it when we would go on trips, but it didn't click for me until like 4 or 5 years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago. And now it's like, it's locked on. It's that attraction where I there are so many great things in Walt Disney World, but if you tell me you've never been to Country Bear Jamboree, that's like, it's for me, it's a wardrobe and everything, and you're going to go see
Yeah.
it. Yes, the animatronics are not the greatest, but the thing is
They're
50
best.
years old, so about to be 50 years old, so I can cut them a little bit of a slack. And yes, the audio is pretty bad, but to me, it also adds to kind of the charm of the entire attraction.
It's like a
itself.
record player.
Yes.
You know, you want a record. Sometimes you're like, oh, I want to listen to this record player because I want to hear it sound
Hear the,
like that. Yeah.
grainy.
Yeah.
What's the word? Graininess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's vinyl does have a warmth to it. I wish we could have a blend of both, where it was just you could hear all the bears equally.
Yeah.
but still
no,
with
it's
that-
a balance issue
Yes,
for sure. Yeah.
exactly. But the songs are incredible. Yeah, whether it's Big Al doing blood on the saddle, just literally, I talk about the songs over and over again, so I don't need to go into them. If you haven't seen the show, it's the right blend of comedy as well as dirtiness that will go over most kids' heads, and then just kind of just nostalgia.
Well,
I guess.
you know what I love? You talked about it being Florida, and it is that debuted in when Walt Disney World opened, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is our attraction, but because they even say in it like straight out of Tampa, and you're like, yeah. These bears are definitely from Florida. You're like when you watch the show after you've lived here, I think for a little while, you're like, oh
Makes
no,
sense.
this is. I don't mean to be in a rude way, but you're like, oh yeah, think 50 years back. Oh yeah,
You
this
say
was Florida. Like,
flow grown.
yeah. No, I will not.
Yeah, it's just if I had like I know it's really terrible to say this, but I think this attraction is part of the heart of Magic Kingdom in a way. It's an opening day attraction that still signifies what we love about Disney parks over other places.
You know what? And it's one theater that holds only so many people. So like, don't touch it. Just leave it there. Like, it's not in the way. It's when you exit, you come out right along Pecos Bill, for quick service. So it's like, it's not
going to eat up a bunch of people.
well, my thing is it's not taking up this large amount of space. It's not doing whatever. So it's kind of like, I think it's a great one to go and then have some lunch, or you just had some lunch, go over and go.
Yes, the bears will always thrive. So recapping on that, my favorite starting 5 going to 1, Splash Mountain, Expedition Everest, Tower of Terror, Enchanted Tiki Room, and then Country Bear Jamboree.
Well, there you have it, everyone. As you can tell, Craig hates Walt Disney World. Yeah. So that is Craig's list of his top 5 favorite attractions at Walt Disney World, the best ones for him. If you want to share your list with us, please feel free to do so in the comments below if you're watching this on YouTube. And that will do it for this episode, but we'll be back with another episode of the best and worst of Walt Disney World. Bye, everyone.